Hello everybody, this is Whim and Wonder here today, and I am working on another illustration. And while I'm working on that, I have a few things to talk about, including one of my favorite games, plus some tips on drawing fur patterns like you'll see me working on during this illustration, plus another quick update on NaNoWriMo. But first, a quick overview of this artwork that I'm working on right now. This artwork is actually a bit of a fan art piece for the video game The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, and it's definitely one of my favorite games and probably my favorite sort of fantasy role-playing game. And this character in particular is the character I'm currently playing in the game. She is a Khajiit and her name is Iise, and she is a lot of things, probably quite a few, probably too many to list through because I've played quite a bit of the game and probably played a lot of it a couple times. But anyway, I had been wanting to do a Skyrim kind of fan art for quite a while because I do like this game quite a lot, but I had started another picture with this character and another character from the game, and I wasn't really liking how it was going, so I decided I kind of wanted to just do almost sort of a beauty portrait, because obviously in the game, you know, it's more of the fantasy and everything and fighting, but in this I kind of just wanted to do more of a portrait, just like shoulders up, and I thought it'd be fun to include some of the native flora from the game, which you can see on the right. Probably later I have some references that I got from the actual game and from stuff like that to make sure that it was all try to make it as fairly accurate as I could. And I think it turns out pretty well in the end. It took me a little longer, this artwork took me a little longer to finish than I expected, because I actually had originally planned on getting it done before the end of November, but it ended up taking a fairly longer time than I had expected, even though I'm pretty glad that it ended up turning out good for the time spent on it. And it was also an interesting thing because this is pretty much the first time I had tried to draw a Khajiit character or character like that, and also, you know, I had to try to mimic the patterns based on the reference picture I took of her face and trying to get it to look like fur and everything, so it was definitely an interesting challenge, but I'm pretty happy with the result. Now, speaking of drawing the fur patterns, I just wanted to give a few quick tips that I think I kind of learned as I was working on this. Not really a tutorial, just kind of some tips I thought I would share. I think the biggest thing that I learned when working on this picture when it comes to drawing fur patterns is that the way I ended up doing it was I pretty much did the patterns first and pretty much didn't worry about adding any fur detail and making it look furry at all. Pretty much I mainly just focused on, you know, where the certain colors went and the shape of the patterns and where they went and all that kind of stuff, basically to make it as accurate as possible based on the image of my character that I was working on. And then after I finished all that, I went through and basically just added the little hair details. You know, I didn't really add like a ton of shading because a lot of the hair details are pretty small. It was pretty much just going through like around the edges of her head and on the edges of the different shapes and all that, just basically to give it an overall furry look, but still keeping the patterns that I had established intact. So in the end, it pretty much looks like the fur, but it has the patterns on it. And then I believe before or after I added the fur details, another thing that helped when working on it was to add a sort of overlay kind of layer where I went and added some texture around her face, kind of not specifically fur texture, but kind of just to make it look a little more like rough, or it has it has a more depth in it. And I think that helped also in areas that weren't around the edges that maybe didn't have fur detail, but it helped make it look like there was more dimension, and maybe it was fur, and it looked more like the image that I was going for. And I think one of the most important reasons to maybe go about it this way, starting with the actual patterns and the shapes of the fur, and then actually adding the texture of the fur, is that if you try to start doing the fur texture first, each individual hair and all that, because I think I've tried to do that before, where you start with that, like if I was drawing a cat or something, and then you try to go into fur patterns. If you're all doing all this on one layer, which of course you might not necessarily have to if you're doing it digitally, but say if you're just doing more like a digital painting on one layer or something, it can pretty much mess it up because you're trying to add the patterns, but you feel like it has to fit also within the texture, and then it ends up kind of getting all messed up and messy and everything like that. You end up losing the fur detail you would have worked on, and also the pattern might not be as accurate as you were going for. So what's nice about doing it the way I did it in this artwork, where you start with the pattern first and then add the fur detail, is you know that you're going to have an accurate or as accurate as possible pattern first before we even add the fur detail. So when you do add the fur detail, it doesn't, it ends up, you're able to focus on the fur detail instead of going and having to pretty much do it all again after adding, if you're trying to do the pattern after you add the fur texture, if that makes sense. So I definitely think doing the patterning, like the stripes or whatever you're doing on fur first and then adding the texture, is probably the best way to go about it. So basically my number one overall tip when it comes to doing fur like I was trying to do here is start with the patterns. Don't start trying to do the fur details at the beginning. Just worry about the patterns, worry about making them accurate or however you want them to look, and then go in after that and work on doing the fur detail, like taking one color from a pattern and trying to do detail on the edges of that, and then doing another area, doing the edges of the character, like when I go and end up doing around the edges of her face and her ears. And that's pretty much how I found to do it. That was very helpful, because I've always kind of been nervous about doing fur because it does seem like a very complicated kind of texture to achieve, which I'm not saying that I'm really mastered it or anything, but I just think going about it the way that I did is probably the easiest way. But anyway, I am really happy that I got the opportunity to work on this artwork, because I don't really do a lot of fan art, because I like a lot of things, but for me, fan art's kind of something I have to really love to be that invested, to take all those hours to create a really nice, refined piece of artwork. So, which I do really love Skyrim, so I'm definitely glad that I was finally able to do some sort of fan art for it. I would definitely be interested in doing more fan art for it, because there are so many things in the game that I would be interested in drawing and digitally painting and all that kind of stuff, especially certain other characters. I'm not really sure when I'm going to get the time to do it right now, but I am hoping that I get to do more in the future. I definitely think it's fun, especially with games like Skyrim that have so much detail in the environments and in the props and items and all that kind of stuff, and like the armor. I think it's definitely fun to be able to do pictures that really showcase those kind of little details and environments. Like, I guess with this one, I think it was really fun to be able to try to create these flowers that I end up doing later on when I'm finishing up the picture, getting to do these flowers that, I'm trying to make them pretty much as accurate as possible, but also kind of, doing my own kind of flair on them and making them look pretty accurate and everything, which I think, because I think a lot of the stuff in Skyrim, as it is definitely detailed, even today, after however many years that it came out. It definitely has a lot of detail that is really fun to be able to explore and kind of try to replicate in a way where you're getting to really get a better appreciation of how much detail and how much is put into the game. But in the meantime, I thought I would give a little update about NaNoWriMo now that November is over. NaNoWriMo, therefore, is over. I am definitely very excited and happy to say that I did get to the end of NaNoWriMo with over 50,000 words, a little bit over. So pretty much that I beat NaNoWriMo, which I'm definitely happy about. It was definitely tricky towards the end because you get so tired of just writing and writing, and but I ended up pushing forward, and I actually pretty much got the last 4,000 words done in one night, because originally I was going to do 2,000 one day and 2,000 the last day, but I decided I just wanted to get it done, and I think it was worth it, because it was definitely nice to have that last day where I think I wrote maybe a little bit, but for the most part I got it done a day ahead, and I was just able to kind of take a breath and relax and, appreciate all the writing that I was able to get done during that month. I can't really say right now when I'm going to be able to show any of the novel or anything, or if there's going to be any plans to release it or anything like that. Technically, the novel itself is not done. It's pretty close to being done, but I hadn't finished the ending yet. There's a little bit of that. Plus, there's probably going to be some heavy rewriting, especially around the middle of the story. And, obviously, I have to go through and edit it after I figure out how much rewriting needs to be done and all that kind of stuff. So I can't really say right now what the future plans are for the story. I would definitely be interested, once I clean it up and finish it, and all that kind of stuff, to be able to share it in some form, whether that's self-publishing it or whatever. But right now, I kind of have some other, I have another project that I'm kind of focusing on right now. I would really like to just at least finish it, but so far I've pretty much been busy doing art and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so overall, I'm definitely really proud to have been able to be a part of the event this year, and being able to actually say that I did finish it. And if anybody out there has done it and finished it, definitely be proud of yourself, because it is definitely a big achievement. I think with NaNoWriMo, it is definitely really hard, but I think once you get through it, you really have a better appreciation of what you're capable of, and you realize that, it's definitely hard, but it's definitely not, well, it's obviously not impossible, because people have been doing it for years, but, it is definitely daunting, and I think getting to be able to do it and finish it gives you a better appreciation of what it really means to be able to write that many words in that short of time, and just pretty much getting it done. So yeah, overall, definitely, if you have done it and finished it, whether it's this year or in the past, definitely be proud of yourself. And if you haven't looked into NaNoWriMo and you are a writer, I would definitely recommend it, because it is, like I said, it's difficult, but it is a really great experience, especially just being able to get a first draft done, or almost done, or even just half done. If you're doing, maybe even your first draft is going to be double the words, but you've got half of it done, and that would be amazing. So anyway, this, so far in December, and probably for the next how many months, I'm mostly going to be focusing on art, because I do have a project that I have kind of mentioned before that I don't really want to talk about yet until it's closer to being done, but I am working on something that hopefully early next year or so will be able to be talked about, and be able to tell you guys about. And then also I'm trying to work on some standalone illustrations on the side, like this one that I've been working on for maybe a week or a little over a week. Now, next week's video, I would like to be able to finish the 25 expressions challenge with my character Oven Mother, because I have the last 9 expressions to do, plus I'm probably going to redo one of them that I'm not super happy with currently, but I haven't really thought about how I'm going to redo it yet. But yeah, so you should be able to look forward to that, and definitely stay tuned. And after that, I'm not really sure what's going to be up yet. I'll just have to see what ends up coming along after I finish the 25 expressions challenge. But I think that we're going to be done soon with this video. I really hope that you have enjoyed. I definitely cannot express my love of Skyrim enough, even just for one picture, so like I said, I'm really hoping I can do more fan art of it in the future, and if anybody out there who has played or seen Skyrim and has any recommendations, of anything they think would be cool to see as a fan art, definitely share in the comments below. And if you have any other thoughts or about the artwork or anything else, definitely feel free to comment or anything like that. I love getting comments on the videos and everything. And if you want to see more of my art, you can check out my DeviantArt page. You can find the link in the description below, or at the end of this video it'll have the URL. Plus, you can also check out my Redbubble, where you can get different merch with my art on it. And also you can check out my Facebook page, where I have updates every so often about when videos come out or anything like that. Or of course you could subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want to keep track on that. But either way, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I really appreciate you guys watching. And I will see you guys next week with a new video. Like I said, it'll probably be the last part of the 25 Expressions Challenge series with my character Other Mother. But either way, I will see you guys next time. And like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope you have an awesome day. Bye!